क्या आपको पता है your financial success is only 20% of math and calculation and the rest of the 80% is your psychology. But what is financial success? There are many biases that can impact our financial decisions, but the most common one that even impacts the smarter people is overconfidence bias. Overconfidence bias is one of the biases which impacts the people like Anil Ambani and Vijay Mallya to be overconfident in their strategy and their decisions. People with overconfidence bias often take more risks and don't plan for failures. आपने कई लोगों को कहते सुना होगा, अरे मुझे हेल्थ इंश्योरेंस की क्या जरूरत है, मैं तो बिल्कुल फिट हूँ। ये पॉलिसी और इन्वेस्टमेंट स्कीम्स तो सिर्फ सेल्स की स्कीम्स है, मुझे सब पता है। This is a very common phenomenon in people with overconfidence bias, which stops them from taking care of their health and wealth. And the price of this bias is not just paid by the individual, but also by their entire family. Let's understand in this episode what is overconfidence bias, what are the traits of this bias, and how can one accept and overcome this bias.
Hi, I am Nitesh Buddhadev, Chartered Accountant by qualification. I have a decade of experience in personal finance and wealth management. I work closely with my clients and help them in their personal finance, investment and tax planning. I also work with fintech, various startups and help them in their product and investment strategy. Why I am doing this? I felt big void when it comes to wealth management and investment advice. Normally, it's all revolve around product selling and we need someone whom we can rely on. There is a big gap on that and I felt that being a chartered accountant, I can enter in this field, work closely with the client and help them manage their money. You need two kinds of savings to be a successful investor. Saving money to invest. And second is saving yourself from your behavioral biases. So, behavioral finance is a very important aspect we mostly ignore. Many research says that investment is 20% mathematics and 80% psychology. Yes, 80%. So we can't ignore the behavioral finance study. And behavioral finance talks about various biases and the overconfidence one is very common because it's likely to be present in most of the investor and in general also in our day-to-day life. But we ignore that because we don't know about that. So it's very important to know about it. And what overconfidence means in simple terms, it is I believe that I am better than what in reality I am. It's as simple. If I put that in a definition, we sometimes or at times we show that and we estimate that our abilities are higher than what it is, and that's how we attribute our success to our skills, and we say that this failure is because of some external factor and I have nothing to do with this failure. I have done my all due diligence. So this is what the overconfidence in normal parlance we understand, but it can be a very deadly when it comes to investing, because the first thing is that people are not aware only that they are getting trapped in all these biases, and that's why to know that you are getting trapped and how to overcome of these biases are really very important. We all feel that we are better than average driver. We all feel that we have a better marriage life than others. We all feel that we are more intelligent and better at our profession than others in the average market. But we all need to understand that we can't all be better than average. True? And that's overconfidence. When you last time went to the restaurant super hungry and you wanted to have your favorite food, you ordered more dishes of that because you overestimated your appetite, but you couldn't finish the whole food, which happens with all of us, right? More often. And this is another overconfidence in our day-to-day life. Let me tell you real story. This is about a family in Gujarat in 1999. A middle class, upper middle class businessman family consists a man, his wife and their 7 children. Out of that 5 were girl and 2 were boy. Living in Gujarat, doing a business in the best of the schools with full of hopes and aspirations for the future. One fine day, few years back, August 1999, the sole bread earner, and mostly during those days, one family member who is the head of the family used to earn, and most of the time you've seen this in the Gujarat, this culture are that they are in the business and one man's on the bread and butter. What happened? One fine day, the family's whole life has changed in a day. Why so? The lone bread earner, age of 45, he passed away, left behind 7 children and his wife. Nobody can replace this emotional loss, right? But what about the finances? As he was the only bread earner, what happened to that family after that? All school going children, only one female child was married, rest all were in the schools doing normal activities, no experience about any earnings or any business. What they got out of insurance is a small amount of 70,000 rupees, and that's the all they had in 1999. Fast forward, the female, the mother of the 7 children, diagnosed with breast cancer. They spent lakhs of rupees on the treatment. The lady survived. She is living a healthy life, but they have to sold their gold to pay off that hospital bill. Did they have any insurance? No health insurance. You call it poor financial literacy, you call it overconfidence bias. Why? Because overconfidence bias also means you underestimate the risk. You underestimate the vulnerability you can expose to than the average person. You feel that 45 is not the age to pass away. You feel that you are not drinking, not smoking, you are not likely to have breast cancer. And this is our belief. And that's why we don't sufficiently cover this aspect. During those years, all the children got married, well settled in bits and pieces. They managed the business, the family business. They came a long way. The youngest son, who were 9-year-old in 1999, he come a long way. You can call he is a bit successful now, and they all are living a good and healthy life, respectful life. This story is about me. I am that person, yes. But why I'm sharing this story? Is it only with me? No. You will find this story in every corner of India. And maybe more ironical than this, because the gap of financial literacy, not knowing about the financial planning, not knowing about all these biases, that family, my family, went behind 10, 20, 30 years down the time. This is what happens because people generally estimate that the likelihood of happening of ordinary events like living beyond 60 years is very common for them than others, and happening of rare events like living up to the age 100 or 100 and more is rare to them. And that's why what they do when it comes to financial planning or personal finance, they don't cover yourself with a proper insurance because they feel that I'm not going to die till 60, 65. That's the average age, right? And that's what they buy: less insurance, under insurance, or no insurance at all. When it comes to rare event, like one believe that I am not going to live till 100, I don't need to save enough for my retirement, or they accurate a very less amount than what they actually need. We underestimate the risk and the vulnerability, and that's exactly overconfidence bias. So the first thing is that financial literacy. One should know that how you need to work when it comes to personal finance. Second is financial planning. Nobody plan to fail. Everybody fails to plan. And last but not the least, when you think that you are not expert in the subject matter, there is no harm in relying on some expert. Many a times we come across MBAs. I'm not talking about the normal MBAs we all know about, right? I'm talking about MBA, and the full form of this MBA is Mane Badhu Avde. I know it all kind of person. Why I'm referring to I know it all kind of person? Because first we need to identify that this kind of bias do exist. Because you don't know if this kind of bias do exist, and you are often getting trapped by this kind of biases. You will never think about overcoming this, right? So knowing about the bias and recognizing that you can be a common victim of this bias, that's the half job done. Now you think how you can overcome that. When it comes to overcoming overconfidence bias, one need to remember these 3 things. And the first one is pre-mortem process. This process is popularized by Daniel Kahneman. He is the Nobel Prize winning economist and psychologist. He has authored a very brilliant book on psychology, Thinking Fast and Slow. In this, he has mentioned about this process and how this process works. Let's say you want to implement some investment strategy, or you want to take some investment decision. You are positive about that, you have thought of that, how it's going to perform, how you are going to benefit and all that thing. Now you do the exactly opposite of this. You think that you go 5, 10, 15 years down the line. Let's say you have took this decision and now think that this strategy is underperforming or not performing at all. Study all the reasons why it has failed. So this kind of process helps one to identify the risk, the potential threats which one is missing when he is in this overconfident state. So that is one of the exercise. The second one is one can maintain the decision journal, and that's what I personally do. Whatever important decision you want to take, you write down in a book, in a note, and you write down the rationale why you are taking this. So in future you can always go back and refer this, and you can analyze what you have thought of when you took this decision and what you are actually getting out of this, whatever may be the positive or negative outcome. That's the second point. And the last and third one, to well research in the subject area. And I think that's the top 3 way to overcome this bias. Difference between the confidence and overconfidence is very difficult. One cannot easily differentiate between it is confidence or overconfidence. It comes with the analysis, practice. But is there any good about the overconfidence? Yes, there are. Some research says that overconfidence can be good in some of the factors, because confidence is very important ingredient when it comes to success. It can be business, it can be job, it can be sports, it can be mental health. So some authors suggest, research suggests that not only confidence but overconfidence also can be advantageous, because it helps increase in morale, increase in the persistence, increase in the ambition, and which in turn increases the probability of success. But I'm yet to come across any good when it comes to investing. So at least when it comes to investing, I would say that I have never come across any benefit of overconfidence. As we discussed, we know how it can backfire, and to add a few more bad about or ill effect of overconfidence are, when person is overconfident, normally we have seen that they try to have a very concentrated portfolio or only having exposure to a particular asset class, and the whole portfolio is skewed towards that particular asset class. Also, they resort to a frequent trading and they think that they can time the market, and that's why they do again that buying selling game, and they in this process can lose a good amount of wealth. Also, people underestimate the risk. They get into the riskier venture and thinks that the actual risks are quite less than in reality it is. Last but not the least, they feel that they don't need to take help of any expert or experienced person because they know it all. I leave you with this quote of Carl Richards. He is the famous author of Behavior Gap. He once said that overconfidence is a serious problem, and if you don't think it affects you, probably you are overconfident. Think again.